Now
Yeah.
I can see. I can see.
Well,
Apologies.
nice to see you. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. But more importantly, how are you?
Good. Just like
Excellent.
you, just locked up.
Yeah. Well, look, I deliberately haven't opened my box that they sent me because I've been looking forward to opening it with you. Mine's number 2186. 2186. And I'm about to open it. And the lovely thing is, James, with this, there are only 2,200 bottles of G5 for the world, and there will be 2 less now that you and I are tasting. There'll be 2 less. So thank you.
Thank you. This is the end, and this is the end of it.
This is the end.
This was the last blend.
Yeah, the last one. And I thought, James, in all sincerity, the reason we're doing that is not because of supply and demand or whatever. The world wants this. But I sort of tend to think that if you go to G6, 7, 8, it just becomes a Solera. You know, what you'll find here when we taste G5 today is you will see if your memory, you know, with 16, 10, those vintages, you see elements of that. You'll see something altogether different. But look, I wanted to do this in front of you because this is sort of like a Russian doll, what I'm doing here, you know, the Penfold thing here.
Yeah.
And this is how people who buy it receive it.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen that.
They get out of the Russian doll, they get the lovely box, which again has the number of the bottle. Mm-hmm. And then we, out of the sarcophagus, take the we take the box out at G5, and it weighs a ton.
Nice.
So that's G5 on my bottle, and my bottle reads again 2186, and then you open it.
Take a photo, please.
And then I'm opening it, and then when I take my bottle, out, 2186 there. So all the way through 2186.
What's the bit on the left?
This is a certificate, all wax sealed. And would you believe, I'm a bit miffed about this, James. I had to sign every one of the 2,200. So I did it deliberately in blue. Otherwise, it just looks like it's printed on.
Yeah.
But the paper's too thick. With G4, the paper was a bit thinner, and you could see on the back that I'd actually written it. Whereas even with doing this, it doesn't show through. The paper's so thick. So anyway, bit of RSI there.
But I'm sure everyone's different though, so it's unique.
Yeah, everyone is different, and people love it. They absolutely love it. But the box, the artwork, the wine, but it's the contents that we're most pleased about.
So this has the big. Well, actually, it's different. Some of the same vintages, but.
Well, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. If I go through the vintages, I'm just going to let this open up, though. I'm going to pour it into my glass because I'm not going to double decant it. So I'm going to pour now and just let it open up in my glass.
You actually have the 100-pointer in this one. The 210.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's you will see. Like I love G4, I love G3, but this is another level again. This is another level again. And I think because of the inclusion of 10 and 16 in particular, all of the vintages, though, globally, James, around the world have been given individual 100 points by different commentators. Yeah. So there's not one non-100-point wine in this blend by different people. But the amalgam, if we go back a little bit of history, G3 was at the time 8, 12, and at the time the yet to be released 14. When G4 came out, it was 2 to the power of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the 2002, the 4, the 8, and the releasing 16. Because if you remember, we tasted both at the same time. This one contains the, everyone's waiting for it, the 18 Grange, which doesn't come out until August of next year.
Okay.
So again, a little bit like if people knew percentages, could you do this at home? No, because 18's not out for almost another year.
Yeah.
And it matures as a blend. So you can't do it anyway. It synergistically matures as a blend. So what we're seeing here, 5 vintages, the last in the trio of G3, 4, and 5.
So when you did the blends, I've forgotten, where did you blend them? Like, you obviously took big bottles or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, in the instance, say, of this one, James, for G5, we kept 16 in barrel a little bit longer than we would ordinarily.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we got to 18, which was in barrel. And then the 10, the 12, and the 14 were transversaged out of bottle under gas cover. Now,
but was it before the bottling then?
Before blending. It was all put together and then matured as a blend, and then was put to bottle in April of last year.
So how long were they together then in
together
barrel?
A little over a year.
In barrel, right?
In barrel as a blend, but not new oak, you see, because Grange is 100% new oak. So we used the Grange barrels that we wrapped out of for 18 and 16, and then I transferred and racked some other Grange. I didn't want it to go into new oak again. I didn't want 200% new oak.
Yeah, exactly.
Silly. So we're just delighted with the way it's very, very high risk, though, from a dissolved oxygen perspective. But as you've seen in all 3, there's no issue. It's essence of Grange. It is what it is.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it makes quite the statement. Like, we love 3 and 4, and people have bought. Oh, by the way, too, when people buy these in Australia, they're getting the same number of the box from 3 and 4. So they have a set of 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Not everyone, but those who bought 3 and 4 and those who've requested it early. But it's sold around the world, of course. There'll be a bit of this in Hong Kong and, America, elsewhere.
How would you describe it when you take, this is the first time I've tasted it, and obviously you taste the earlier releases more often than I do. Like, I don't know, but in my mind, just seems sort of tighter. I guess fresher because it has the younger vintage, more compacted, right? It's really tightly wound.
Very, very tightly wound, but within that sort of compression, I can see elements of different vintages, and there's so much awaiting unfurling. Like, it can't be too apparent, yet at the same time, as it sits in the glass, as we swirl it, second sip, third sip just ascends. The third sip is better than the fourth. I'm not using a spittoon here because I'll never get to see this again. I can't afford it. But, when you taste it even, it just builds. It sneaks up on you. It's so different. The other thing is it's 3% Cabernet. I did the arithmetic.
I was wondering.
3% Cabernet. And this is quite weird. We're releasing it in November of 2021, James, because this is Grange's 70th anniversary year. But I said to our marketing team just recently, and they had to get calculators out because they don't add up anymore, some of these people. Add up 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18, and what do you get?
What do you get?
70. How
Really?
freakish is that? Yeah. Now, that was never intended. But in Grange's 70th year, which is why we've launched G3 this year and not waited till next year until it unfolded a little more, it adds up to 70. The other slightly is 70% of this is from the Barossa Valley.
Okay.
Literally to one decimal place, 70% when I do all the sums. The rest is from the Clarence Vale and the Clare Valley. Now, there's tiny little amounts. If you remember you may or may not, I had to look it up. 2014, for the first time ever, we included a tiny bit of Rattenbully fruit from from South Australia. So there's a tiny bit of that, a fraction of a fraction in there as well. But there's exactly 70% Barossa.
That's so cool. And you said the rest McLaren Vale and what else?
And Clare Valley. They're the 3 predominant sources. Below that, they go to single-digit small percentages, of the years. Sorry, of the sourcings.
I really, there's a wonderful freshness to it as well.
Yeah.
Right?
It's deceptive though, James. Like the freshness, and you think, oh, I'll have to push this aside. But the allure, and see, this is the contribution of the 10 and the 16 in particular. Do you remember when we talked about 16? I said it was like the sirens. You've got to tie yourself to the mast, put wax in your ears, and then hope, you know. With 16, you had to do that. And there's something about this too. It sort of beckons you closer. Yet when you get there, to your earlier point, it's still quite sort of taut and tight.
Yeah.
And that is, look, on the blueprint, this is exactly what we wanted. And I'm not sure how we attained it. It's by good luck and a bit of default rather than, you know, strategic. Well, this isn't science. This is, you know, a bit of alchemy and a bit of this and a bit of that. But how could you go wrong with those vintages?
How long did it take you to blend it? Like, was it
quite a while? See, I was tempted to put 8 in as well, but then I had to give up one of the other vintages. And 8's a no-brainer. It was in G3 and G4. But I thought, well, let's go to the next decade. We've got to start, you know, this can't just be an arithmetic type of calculation. And 10, 12, 14, 16 came together so effortlessly. It was meant to happen. It was preordained almost. So the only thing I dabbled with really was the actual amount of each one. But I've said with G3, 4 and this one, every vintage is a double-digit percentage.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's look, and the other odd thing, and I think you'll wonder why I do this, but I did it with G3, 4, and 5. We bottled it. I looked at it quickly, all intact. Boom. No first impression. I deliberately haven't looked at this wine until just a few days prior to the 1st of November. You know, because it's very much a no guts, no glory sort of approach. Like, it's there, it's encapsulated. That is the story of G5 now. Like it a lump, it has been bottled, the declaration's been made. But I did taste it immediately after bottling, and you go to it like that because of the risk. You know, so yes, these are expensive wines, they are very high quality, but the risk in making these, more so with G4, because we went back to 2002. But even going back 11 years now, you know, with the 2010, there's a lot of risk there, putting it back into oak.
What I really, and actually it parallels more, let's say, modern Granges, where you're seeing a little bit more finesse and refinement to it. Like, you're really seeing more complexity, even in a young wine, where the other ones, you know, I gave 100 points to, but they were more, you know, opulent and open. Do you know what I'm saying? This really just right away you smell it, and there's flat, you know, it's floral, mineral, it's compacted, really fine but intense tannins, really energetic. I really think it's a fantastic wine and a great ending to this project. And you're so good at it. Like, why aren't you going to do more multi-vintage blends?
It's a funny one, James. It's a little bit like when we released the Ampule, which people initially thought was a gimmick. Let's be fair. You know, I was creating a time capsule, and, you know, have I opened one yet anywhere in the world? The answer is no. And people say, well, that must be disappointing, because this is all about my mileage points. If you remember me saying, you know, I go anywhere in the world, it's all about my frequent flyer points. But I say,
don't mean anything anymore. But
no, they don't mean anything anymore. But I said to people, look, I hope I don't have to open one in my lifetime, because there are only 12. You know, this is for someone to open in 500 years' time. A borosilicate continuum, no cork, no screw cap, nothing. Put it away in a cellar, 12 degrees, come back in a few hundred years. Now, why haven't we since done that? Because those people paid a lot of money, $168,000 a piece for 750 ml. People who are buying this are buying a drinking investment. They're paying for their number, they're paying for the wine, they're paying for the quality. And we've given them something quite unique, and something from a drinking investment perspective, again, quite collectible. And there were only 3. Now, yes, never say never. We might end up doing something down the track, but not like this. So it's also been rumoured, James, a lot of people have put it to us, you know, a Grange collection in the old days, globally, never included the 51, because Max himself said 51 was an experimental Grange.
Yeah.
Now a Grange collection is incomplete without the 51. And the 51 sells for an obscene amount of money, well over 100,000 a bottle. Now, I suspect, and it's been told, that one day Grange collection may well contain G3, 4, and 5, because This is essence of, this is 110% Grange, you know. So for a real collection one day into the future, and people, you know, sell houses to buy these collections, it's very meaningful to them, and so be it if they wish to pursue that. But already people are saying this could well be. So do we have a G6, 7, 8, 9, 10? No, we don't. We're stopping here with the 3. Yeah.
It's definitely the essence, you know, an essence of Grange, which is exciting. And, you know, it just comes across so intensely like that. And also, I think that I liked what you said. You decided to go with the modern vintages on 4 or on 5. So you really see the character of Grange at that where it is today, and then the 4 was more yesterday. And I think that that's really interesting to me. You really can it's nice you can understand Grange tasting it.
Yes.
Right?
Like most definitely.
If you take the Reserva Special from Vega Sicilia, I'm not so sure. I find it, you know, different than Vega Sicilia, different than the normal Unico. But I love them both, but they're so different. This is really just like, I like what you say, 110% Grange.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And the thing is, you know, obviously I'm not going to finish the bottle or whatever, but did open, and we took to a place just recently. I was at the Royal Mail in Dunkeld, beautiful mecca for great food and wine. And what I'd used for a tasting, I took and we looked at it over a meal and over a night, and we were overwhelmed by it, you know, and people didn't even really know what it was, and I wasn't doing a song and dance about it, but you sort of think, yeah, when the second half of the glass is better than the first half, and where it just, you know, ascends, you know, something is happening.
Totally. And what is the sales price of this wine?
Australian dollars 3,500.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not an inexpensive wine.
Right. But it's not crazy. It's not. What's the normal Grange sell for?
They're now just under 1,000. They released at about 950, 960. So yeah, but just the whole, as I say, people are paying a little bit for risk, a little bit for whatever these things are. Right. These will never happen again. So yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I understand that G is over the multi-vintage blend, but you are very good at it. You may have to consider something else then.
Well, something altogether different. But out there.
I like the multi-blend. Vintage blend is an interesting concept, and it's pretty fun.
The Californian wines, by the way, you know, the 2 wines of the world are a different way of doing it, but across the Pacific. You know, Quantum's just gone crazy. 149 sold out, you know, 15% South Australian Cabernet in with Napa.
Yeah, I remember.
And the Napa people who I'm showing it to, I'm going to do an event at Harlan with Will and the crew. And that, you know, the Napa people have embraced us. So it's not like, who do these interlopers think they are? You know, Vikings from the West have come in. Well, no, it's, gee, this is good for wine. We all win if things are done properly. Yeah.
Yeah, and you did. And even the pure wines, too, are really fantastic.
Yeah. 600, 700.
I really enjoyed them. They're really balanced and also well priced, too, for that part of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, thanks again for the tasting, and good luck with your trip. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was really impressive. But, you know, I have a tiny bit. I'm going to taste a little bit more, but it's, I love the intensity and freshness and brightness to this wine, and incredibly compressed and tightly wound with just great character. It's an exceptional wine.
The balance.
It's just so
Yeah.
Great pleasure.
No.
All right.
Great times. Thank you for your time. Take care. And hopefully I'll see you in the flesh at some stage.
Okay, brother. Thanks again.
Thanks, James. Thank you. Bye.